Let's break it down straight from the hill to your hometown. No spin, no hype, just facts we find. AI's on the case, no truth left behind. Laws are written, deals are made. Who's got your back, who's throwing shade? We cut through the noise, decode the text, keeping it real. Congress in context, Congress in context, shining the light, breaking it down so you know what's right. Policies, votes, who's working for you? We bring the facts, the power is you.
Welcome to Congress in Context. Today we are diving into the Congressional Record, specifically from Monday, February 24th, 2025.
Oh, yeah. This is one of my favorite days from that whole month, I think.
Really?
Yeah. There's just some great stuff in here.
I mean, it's like getting this front row seat to, this is how laws are made.
Yeah, behind the scenes.
Yeah, exactly. Who's making them. And, it's just fascinating to hear what they're saying about the issues that matter most to you as a listener.
Yeah.
To all of us.
It's like a daily journal of, American democracy.
Yeah.
A little messy sometimes, but always interesting.
Always interesting.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Okay, so let's jump into this day, because this particular day started with some pretty powerful personal stories.
Yeah, did.
Always a good way to kind of like connect with what's happening in D.C.
Yeah.
Feel that human element.
Yeah, reminds us that these are real people, with real lives, not just talking heads.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So we had a tribute to Ambassador Dame Karen Pierce,
Oh, yeah.
the UK's ambassador to the U.S.
She was quite a figure, wasn't she?
Yeah, I didn't realize how much she was involved with. Obviously the diplomacy, but also just people.
Yeah. She was known for her diplomacy, of course, but also just her ability to connect with people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
And of course, who could forget those legendary New Year's Eve parties?
Oh, yeah. Those were famous.
But, beyond the parties, she played a really critical role.
Yeah.
In, kind of navigating that whole U.S.-UK relationship.
Right.
Especially during some pretty challenging, times.
Yeah, especially with all the changing, political landscapes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so it wasn't just about, international figures.
Right.
There was also recognition for Don Dello,
Uh-huh.
a Pennsylvania township supervisor.
50 years.
I know, 50 years. Can you imagine?
That's incredible.
That's longer than some of our listeners have been alive.
I know. It's just amazing, right?
Just to think about that dedication to serving
Yeah.
your community.
Talk about commitment.
Right. Yeah. And, it makes you think about all those people out there
Yeah.
who are working.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah. At the local level.
Yeah, without fanfare.
Yeah. Making their communities better.
The unsung heroes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, this day also had its share of somber moments.
It did, yeah.
The House remembered 2 Virginia Beach police officers,
Oh, that's right.
Cameron Gervin and Christopher Reese,
Yeah.
who were killed in the line of duty. Always tough to hear those stories.
Yeah. It's a tragic reminder of the sacrifices made, by those who serve and protect.
Wow.
And the impact their loss has, not just on, their families, but their entire communities.
Ripples. Right.
Yeah, ripples for sure. And Congress also took time to recognize the passing of Staff Sergeant Ryan Austin O'Hara,
Right.
who died in a helicopter accident.
Yeah. And left behind a young family.
Oh, wow.
Always so sad to hear.
Really sad.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to remember that, these tributes, even though they are sad,
Yeah.
they're a crucial part, for sure.
Of the Congressional Record.
Yeah, it's about honoring those who served and those who sacrificed.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we've seen that human side of Congress.
Uh-huh.
But now let's get into some policy talk.
Let's get into the weeds.
Let's get down to business, because there was a lot of discussion that day about Career and Technology Education Month.
CTE month.
CTE month, yeah. Did you ever do any CTE stuff?
Oh, I did, actually. In high school, I took a woodshop class.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, built a bookshelf.
There you go.
Still have it.
That's awesome. So for those who may not be familiar, CTE month is all about highlighting those vocational and technical programs that give students these really practical skills for a variety of careers.
Yeah, and it's so relevant now.
Yeah.
Especially with the job market changing so rapidly.
Right.
Those skills gap is real.
Exactly. And so this is about kind of, aligning education with the real needs of the economy.
Right. Equipping students with what they need for today's workforce, not yesterday's.
Right. And, it also just seems like a really smart move to, think about that student loan debt that so many are struggling with.
Absolutely.
And it's offering like an alternative path to good paying jobs.
Right. A 4-year degree isn't the only path to success.
Exactly. Now let's talk about economic policy.
Oh.
Always a fun one.
Always a hot topic.
Always a hot button issue.
Buckle up.
Buckle up. Representative Courtney from Connecticut
Oh, boy.
delivered a pretty fiery speech.
Yeah. He did not hold back.
He did not mince words criticizing the Republican budget proposal.
Yeah, he was really concerned about extending the 2017 tax cuts.
Oh, yeah.
Remember those?
Oh, yeah.
Big point of contention.
Yeah.
And the debate rages on.
Continues.
Exactly. Courtney argued that extending those cuts would really only benefit the wealthy.
Okay, so he's saying that it widens that gap between the rich and everyone else.
Exactly. The rich get richer. Everyone else is kind of left behind.
Right. Okay, so pretty powerful statement. But do he have evidence to back that up?
He did, actually.
Yeah.
He referenced a chart from the Peterson Institute for International Economics.
Okay, I've heard of them.
Yeah, they're pretty reputable.
Yeah.
And their projections showed that under the Republican proposal, the top 1% of earners could see a tax cut of around $70,000.
Wow.
Compared to someone in the lowest income bracket who might only see like a $130 reduction.
That's a huge disparity.
Yeah, talk about a stark difference.
Yeah, so he's painting this picture of a budget that favors the wealthy at the expense of everyone else.
Yeah, that was his argument for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a pretty persuasive argument. Was there any response from the Republican side?
You know, it's interesting. Our sources don't include a direct rebuttal to Courtney's speech from that day. But you got to remember, the Republicans controlled the House at this point.
Right.
So their budget proposal was a key part of their agenda.
Right.
You know, this whole debate over taxes really highlights the broader political landscape of the time.
Yeah, classic partisan divide, it sounds like.
Yeah, you could say that.
But you know what's interesting is that this day in Congress also provided a different perspective on economic policy,
Okay.
the role of Social Security.
Yeah, that's right. Good old Social Security, always a hot topic.
Right. Representative Larson from Connecticut delivered this really passionate defense of Social Security, really emphasizing its role as a safety net for the elderly.
And for children.
And for children. He also pointed out that benefits haven't been enhanced.
And over 54 years.
I know, that's over half a century.
That's crazy.
That's a long time for a program that is as crucial as Social Security.
Absolutely. A lot of people depend on that.
Yeah, so what else did he say?
Well, he also expressed concern over Elon Musk's interest in accessing Social Security data.
Wait, Elon Musk? What does he have to do with Social Security?
That's a good question. You know, the reason isn't entirely clear from the Congressional Record, but given all the talk about potential cuts to Social Security, you know, lawmakers were definitely wary.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder what Musk had in mind, right?
It does.
Okay, so speaking of, taking specific actions, Congress tackled a flurry of activity around small businesses that day.
Oh, yeah, they love their small business bills.
It seems like it.
A lot of action there.
And one that stood out was the Assisting Small Businesses Not Fraudsters Act.
Ooh, catchy title.
I know. Or HR 825 for short.
That's easier.
Yeah, a little bit easier on the tongue.
So what's this one about?
So this is a pretty straightforward bill.
Okay.
It's designed to prevent people who have been convicted of pandemic-related fraud.
Oh, interesting.
From getting loans from the Small Business Administration.
The SBA.
The SBA, better known as the SBA.
Right, right.
So essentially it's a direct response.
Yeah, makes sense.
So the pandemic relief fraud that was happening.
Right, yeah, to crack down on that.
Right, because, there was a lot of that going on.
There was.
Was there any pushback on the bill?
You know, there was some debate particularly around defining pandemic-related fraud.
Yeah.
And like what the consequences would be for businesses that are associated with those convicted.
Oh, so there's some nuance there.
Oh, yeah. It's a tricky situation, right?
Right.
You want to prevent fraud.
Right.
But you don't want to unfairly punish legitimate businesses.
Yeah, you don't want to create more problems by trying to solve one.
Exactly.
But it sounds like they found some common ground.
They did in the end. HR 825 passed with bipartisan support.
Okay.
So it's a good example of both parties, coming together to try to address a very specific problem.
I like that. I like seeing that cooperation.
Me too.
In this often divided world of politics.
Absolutely. Always refreshing.
Okay, so what other small business bills were they looking at that day?
Well, there was HR 832,
okay.
which focused on strengthening the SBA Office of Advocacy's role in representing small businesses in international trade negotiations.
So it's like making sure that they have a seat at the table. when these big trade deals are being made.
Yeah, giving those small businesses a voice, in the global market.
Yeah, because they don't always have, the resources.
Right, they need a
To
champion.
do that on their own. So I like that leveling that playing field.
Uh-huh.
What else?
Okay, so then there's HR 818.
Okay.
This one aims to provide new contractor support for small businesses.
Okay.
Particularly those owned by service-disabled veterans,
Oh, wow.
women,
Okay.
and individuals from disadvantaged backgrounds.
So really focusing on those diverse entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah, creating opportunities for everyone.
Yeah. So it sounds like Congress was really trying to help small businesses thrive that day.
Oh, yeah, they were busy.
Busy day.
They also passed the Investing in Main Street Act of 2025.
What a name.
I know, right? Which was designed to basically modernize the Small Business Investment Act of 1958.
Wow. So an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah, updating it for the 21st century.
And they even introduced the Rural Small Business Resilience Act, which aimed to help rural businesses facing disaster recovery.
Yeah, because they often get hit the hardest.
They do.
And have the least resources.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see the range of issues
I know.
that Congress addresses. It's not all partisan bickering like we see on TV.
No.
There's real work
The real work getting done.
being done on things that directly affect people's lives.
That's what it's all about, right?
Exactly. But of course, we can't forget about some of the more contentious issues,
Uh-oh, here we go.
like immigration
Yeah,
and border security.
that was a hot button issue.
Yeah, which sparked a lot of debate that day.
It did.
Representative Gonzalez Colon from Puerto Rico
Yeah.
voiced some concerns about ICE raids on the island
Mm-hmm.
and the impact that it was having on immigrant communities.
Yeah, a very sensitive topic for sure.
Yeah. And, the Congressional Record doesn't go into all the details,
Right.
but it's clear there were concerns
Yeah.
about ICE's methods
Mm-hmm.
and the potential for racial profiling.
Yeah, given the history of discrimination against immigrants,
Right.
this is a very sensitive topic.
Right. So were there any legislative efforts related to immigration that day?
Well, the Senate was actually debating the Protecting Our Guests During Hostilities in Ukraine Act.
Protecting our guests.
Interesting choice of words.
Yeah.
Or S-385 for short,
Okay.
which aimed to grant temporary protected status
Okay.
to Ukrainian refugees who came to the U.S.
Okay.
fleeing the war.
Got it. So this was a direct response to the conflict in Ukraine.
It was. And it shows how complex immigration policy can be.
Right.
There's this desire to help those fleeing violence,
Yeah.
but also concern about border security
Right.
and, resources.
Right. There's a lot of factors at play.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah. So that sounds like this bill probably generated a lot of, debate.
Oh, it did. Passionate arguments on both sides,
Yeah.
reflecting the wide range of perspectives on immigration in the U.S.
For sure. It's always a topic that tends to evoke those strong emotions.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So, wow, we have covered a lot.
We have.
We've got tributes. We've got education.
We got economic policy.
Small businesses.
Immigration.
Immigration. Quite the range.
It was a packed day.
Packed day. What else was on their agenda?
Well, believe it or not, they even found time to discuss space exploration.
Space. Now, that's a change of pace.
I know, right? It's not all doom and gloom.
Right, a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
So what sparked that conversation?
Well, Representative Posey from Florida was particularly excited about the resurgence of American spaceflight,
Oh, yeah.
especially the role of private companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin.
Oh, yeah. That new space race.
It was a really exciting time.
It was with so much innovation happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Posey highlighted the technological advancements,
Uh-huh.
the economic benefits
Okay.
tied to space exploration,
Yeah.
really emphasizing that America's leadership in space was crucial to its standing in the world.
Right. So not just about the science.
No, it's about national pride.
Yeah.
It's about, economic competitiveness.
Right. And that's an argument that I can see resonating with a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Space exploration just has that way of capturing the imagination
It does.
and inspiring.
Absolutely.
Like-
It's the final frontier.
It is.
There's so much we don't know.
And he got specific too, right?
He did. He shared some interesting facts about Florida's contributions to the space program.
Oh, of course. Florida's home to Kennedy Space Center.
Exactly. So it makes sense.
Yeah, a major player in the space game, for sure.
For sure. Did any other states get a shout out?
Well, he also mentioned the Mojave Air and Spaceport in California.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a hub for those private companies
Yeah.
that are developing and testing new space technologies.
That's pretty cool to think about all that cutting edge work happening there.
It really is.
Yeah.
And you know what I really appreciated is that he connected space exploration to our everyday lives.
Yeah.
Reminding everyone that technologies like GPS, satellite communications, even some of the materials we use in everyday products
Right.
have their roots in space exploration.
It's true. We take it for granted.
We do.
But all of that came from space research.
So it's clear that space exploration wasn't just a side note
No.
on this day in Congress.
Yeah. They were genuinely excited about it.
It was a topic of genuine excitement and optimism.
Yeah. It's nice to hear that kind of positive energy.
It is. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground so far. Personal tributes, the future of work, the vastness of space.
What a journey.
Quite a journey through this congressional record.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we should touch on from this day?
There is, amidst all the speeches and the debates, we also get a little glimpse into how Congress actually functions.
Oh, that's always interesting.
Yeah, so for example, there was some discussion about the House Committee on Ways and Means.
Oh, yeah. One of the most powerful committees in Congress.
They are the money managers.
The money managers, I've heard of it, but I got to be honest, I don't entirely know what they do.
So basically, they handle a whole range of issues related to government revenue and spending.
Okay.
So we're talking taxation, trade, healthcare, Social Security, you name it, pretty much anything that involves raising or spending money.
Oh, wow. So they have their hands full.
They do a lot of responsibility.
They do. So how do they manage such a broad scope?
Well, the Congressional Record gives us some insight into their structure.
Okay.
So they have several subcommittees,
Okay.
each focusing on a specific area like health, Social Security, trade, and oversight.
So it's a divide and conquer approach.
Exactly. Gotta break it down somehow.
Right, because that's a lot to tackle.
It is a lot.
Okay, so they're not just debating these big picture ideas. They're actually diving into the details
And nitty-gritty.
of how to make things work.
Yeah, trying to make it happen.
That's good. And the Congressional Record also shed some light on how bills and resolutions are introduced. There was this example, the District of Columbia Superior Court Jury Duty for Seniors Opt-out Act of 2025.
That's a mouthful.
It is, which proposed allowing people 70 and older to opt out of jury duty
Interesting.
in D.C.'s local trial court.
Makes sense. Jury duty can be a lot, especially for seniors.
Especially for seniors.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool to see that even these seemingly small local issues make it onto the congressional agenda.
It's not all about, global politics. Sometimes it's those everyday concerns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's starting to feel like the Congressional Record is much more than just this dry record of proceedings.
Right.
It's really this tapestry of American democracy in action.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It really captures it.
And this particular day had a significant cultural and historical dimension as well,
Oh, that's right.
with several tributes and speeches commemorating Black History Month.
Of course, February is Black History Month.
Yeah. So what were some of the highlights from the Congressional Record related to that?
Well, one story that really stood out was about the 4 Black students who integrated the University of Alabama Law School back in 1969.
Wow.
John England, Booker T. Forte, Ronald Jackson, and Michael Figures.
Wow.
Their story is a powerful reminder
Yeah.
of the fight for equality and the courage it takes to break down barriers.
1969, it wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't.
Really makes you realize how recent these struggles for civil rights have been.
Yeah, we've come a long way, but still a long way to go.
Right. So did any of the speeches directly address this historical context?
Yes. Representative Sewell from Alabama delivered a really moving speech about the civil rights movement,
Okay.
emphasizing the role of faith and resilience in overcoming adversity.
Wow.
And he connected those past struggles to the continued fight for justice and equality today.
Right. So Black History Month isn't just about the past. It's about how it shapes the present
Exactly.
and the future.
It's all connected.
What other stories from Black History Month were highlighted?
Well, Representative Bynum from Oregon shared her experience as the first Black member of Congress from her state.
Wow.
And she spoke about her personal fight against discrimination.
Yeah.
And her dedication to making sure that her voice and the voices of those she represents are heard in Congress.
What an inspiring story.
It is.
It highlights that importance of representation
Yeah.
and inclusion.
Absolutely. Having those diverse voices at the table makes a difference.
Did any other lawmakers touch on Black History Month?
Yeah, Senator Britt from Alabama paid tribute to Lieutenant Colonel Harry Stewart Jr.,
Okay.
one of the last surviving Tuskegee Airmen.
Wow, the Tuskegee Airmen.
Legendary.
Wow.
Senator Britt highlighted Stewart's accomplishments as a pilot during World War II
Yeah.
and the discrimination that he faced during and after his service.
Wow.
You know, it's a reminder of the sacrifices made by Black Americans for a country that didn't always treat them as equals.
Yeah, it's crucial to remember those stories and honor their legacy.
Absolutely never forget.
Okay, so this day in Congress was certainly packed with meaning and emotion. We've seen personal tributes, policy debates, inspiring stories, somber reflections. A true reflection of the complexity of our democracy.
It is complex, isn't it?
It is.
But also inspiring.
Inspiring. Yeah, and it's not always pretty or efficient, but it is.
But at its best.
At its best.
It allows for a range of voices and perspectives to be heard.
Right, and we've only scratched the surface of this Congressional Record entry.
There's so much more to uncover.
I know, and I can't wait to dig deeper.
Me too.
And uncover more of these hidden gems. But for now, we'll continue our exploration of the Congressional Record in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good. I'm ready for more.
Stay tuned.
Can't wait.
Welcome back to Congress in Context. We are picking up our exploration of the Congressional Record from Monday, February 24th, 2025. And trust me, there's still a lot to unpack.
Oh, yeah. Congress never sleeps. And neither do we when it comes to uncovering the, inner workings of American democracy.
That's so true. So let's jump right back into this whirlwind of a day. Where do we head next?
Okay, so how about we shift gears to a topic that's, both inspiring and really timely: veterans and entrepreneurship.
Ooh, I like that combination. Supporting those who have served our country and empowering them to create, their own opportunities.
Exactly. Transitioning from military service to civilian life can be really tough.
Yeah.
And, starting a business can be an incredibly rewarding path for veterans.
Absolutely. And I feel like veterans have a unique set of skills.
Oh, they do.
And experiences that could really translate well.
Absolutely. Discipline, teamwork, leadership, problem solving.
Yeah.
They've got it all.
So how does this bill actually help?
Okay, so it directs the Small Business Administration, the SBA, to report on the activities of the Interagency Task Force on Veterans Small Business Development.
Okay, so that's a mouthful. Break that down for me.
Okay, so think of this task force as like a team of specialists from different government agencies, all working together to support veteran entrepreneurs.
Oh, okay. So it's about making sure that the government is doing its part.
Yeah, coordination, collaboration.
To support these veterans.
Exactly.
Got it.
The SRV Act also calls for a report from the Government Accountability Office, or GAO, on access to credit for veteran-owned businesses.
Okay, so this report would identify any gaps in credit availability.
Yeah.
And then recommend solutions.
Exactly, because access to credit is crucial for any entrepreneur.
Yeah, especially for veterans who might not have, established business credit.
Right, or extensive financial resources.
Right, so did the SRV Act address any other challenges that veteran entrepreneurs face?
Absolutely. It includes provisions to improve outreach and promotion of existing programs designed to help veterans in the business world.
Okay.
So things like veteran business outreach centers,
Okay.
boots to business other initiatives.
So making sure that veterans are aware of the programs that already exist.
Yeah, sometimes just knowing where to turn for help can make all the difference.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's just about getting your foot in the door or knowing
Connecting the dots.
what resources are available.
Exactly.
So it's a multifaceted approach.
It is.
To empowering veteran entrepreneurs.
And it's worth noting that the SRV Act passed with strong bipartisan support in both the House and the Senate.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great to see that kind of unity.
Yeah, even in our often divided political landscape,
Yeah.
It's heartening to see lawmakers come together to support our veterans.
Absolutely.
They deserve it.
They do. And speaking of, finding common ground, this day in Congress also offered a glimpse of bipartisanship in an area that often sparks, intense debate.
What's that?
Immigration.
Oh, wow. Immigration, really? That's surprising.
I know, right? So what was the focus of this bipartisan effort? Okay, so remember the Protecting Our Guests During Hostilities in Ukraine Act we talked about earlier?
Yes, the one aimed at providing temporary protected status to Ukrainian refugees.
That's the one. Did it pass?
It did, and with bipartisan support.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so I think it reflects this shared commitment to helping those fleeing the war in Ukraine, even amidst this, complex and often contentious debate surrounding immigration policy.
It's a tough issue.
Yeah, it can be so divisive, but I think this shows that, compassion
Yeah.
And empathy can transcend those political divides.
It's a good reminder for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we've seen support for veterans.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen support for refugees. What other topics were on the congressional agenda this day?
Well, they revisited space.
Okay, back to space.
But this time, the focus was on the U.S. space program itself.
Oh, okay.
And the infrastructure that supports it.
So less about the scientific discoveries and more about the nuts and bolts of how we get to space.
Exactly. The behind-the-scenes stuff.
I like it.
Yeah, so several lawmakers, including Representatives Posey from Florida, Begich from Alaska, and Moore from Utah.
Okay, a good mix.
Yeah, they all spoke about the importance of investing in America's space infrastructure.
Okay.
And they really emphasized those national security implications.
Okay.
Arguing that a strong space program is crucial for maintaining America's technological edge
Right.
and defending its interests in space.
That makes sense. Space is becoming, increasingly important in, military and intelligence operations
Absolutely.
these days.
It's a new battlefield.
Right. They also highlighted the economic benefits of space exploration,
Yes.
pointing to the growth of the commercial space industry
Uh-huh.
and the potential for, new technologies and jobs.
Absolutely. It's a booming industry.
Yeah. So it's a combination of national security and economic competitiveness.
Exactly. A win-win.
And what I thought was interesting is how they highlighted how specific states are contributing to the U.S. space program.
Yeah, I love that local angle.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about that. So what were some of the examples?
Okay, so Representative Begich talked about Alaska's unique advantages for space operations.
Alaska. Okay, I wouldn't immediately think of Alaska as a space hub.
But when you think about it,
Yeah.
it's got a strategic location
Right, yeah.
and existing infrastructure, including the Pacific Spaceport Complex, Alaska.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's up there.
So I guess it makes sense given its proximity to the Arctic
Yeah.
and those vast open spaces.
Yeah, perfect for launching rockets.
Right.
Representative Moore highlighted Utah's contributions, particularly the work being done at Northrop Grumman's facility in Promontory, where they develop solid rocket boosters.
Oh, those boosters are incredible.
They are amazing feats of engineering.
Yeah, I remember reading about those. They play a crucial role in launching some of America's most important space missions.
They do the backbone of space travel.
Yeah, and Moore also mentioned the innovative research happening at Utah's universities, focusing on areas like hypersonic flight and lunar exploration.
Oh, wow, pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, it really underscores that the U.S. space program is this national endeavor with contributions coming from all over the country.
All 50 states.
Yeah.
Working together.
It's amazing to think about all this cutting-edge technology being developed in these, unexpected places.
It is. It's happening everywhere.
And I think these discussions, they often went beyond just the technical aspects of space,
Yeah.
touching on these themes of, national pride and the spirit of innovation.
That American spirit.
Yeah. And it's a reminder that even amidst those political battles, there's still a sense of wonder
Yeah.
and a belief in human ingenuity.
Absolutely. We can still dream big.
That's a good point.
Okay.
Okay. So let's bring it back down to earth for a moment.
Okay.
Did Congress spend any time focusing on how their own institution operates?
They did. There were some discussions about the rules and procedures of the House of Representatives, particularly those related to the Committee on Ways and Means.
Oh, yeah, the money managers.
Those guys remember them.
Yeah, the ones with the huge responsibility.
Huge responsibility.
Okay, so the Congressional Record included excerpts from the rules of the Committee on Ways and Means,
Yeah, they're a big deal.
outlining their structure, their jurisdiction, the processes for conducting hearings, markups, and reporting legislation.
Yeah, it's all in there.
So it's like a peek behind the curtain,
Exactly.
showing us how laws are actually made.
Yeah, all the nitty-gritty detail.
And it kind of highlights those complexities of the legislative process.
Oh, yeah.
With all its, rules and traditions and procedures.
It can be quite a maze to navigate,
I bet.
even for seasoned lawmakers.
Right. But those rules and procedures are important, right?
Absolutely.
They're there for a reason.
They're there to ensure that the legislative process is fair, transparent, and accountable.
Right.
They may seem boring
Yeah.
at first glance, but they play a crucial role in shaping the laws that govern our lives.
It's easy to forget about those details when we're focused on the big picture,
Yeah.
but they're essential to making the system work.
Yeah. Absolutely the foundation of it all.
Okay, and speaking of history, we saw another example of how the past informs the present.
Okay. Tell me about it.
This time, the focus shifted to the fight for women's rights and the legacy of those who paved the way for equality.
Okay. I'm all ears.
So the Senate passed a resolution designating February 16, 2025
Okay.
as National Elizabeth Peratrovich Day.
Elizabeth Peratrovich, that name's not ringing a bell.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, she was a truly remarkable woman.
Okay.
Elizabeth Wanamaker Peratrovich, a Tlingit woman from Alaska, was a tireless advocate for civil rights
Oh.
and was instrumental in the passage of the Anti-Discrimination Act of 1945 in the Alaska Territory.
Wow, 1945. That was a time when discrimination was still, deeply ingrained in many parts of the U.S.
Exactly. And what's so groundbreaking about this Anti-Discrimination Act
Yeah.
is that it made Alaska the first U.S. territory to outlaw discrimination based on race, religion, or national origin.
Wow, that's ahead of its time.
Yeah, and Elizabeth Peratrovich played a key role in its passage.
How so?
She delivered this really powerful and moving testimony
Okay.
before the Alaska Territorial Legislature, urging them to pass the bill and challenging them to live up to the ideals of equality and justice.
Wow, so her words had a real impact.
They did. The bill passed just days later.
That's amazing.
It's a testament to the power of one person's voice to make a real difference.
Yeah, one person can change the world.
Exactly. And so this resolution honoring her
Yeah.
is a fitting tribute to her legacy and a reminder of the ongoing struggle for women's rights in America.
Absolutely. We're still fighting for equality.
Yeah, it's an ongoing battle. So it's inspiring to see these trailblazers being recognized.
Yeah, they paved the way for us.
They did. What else did Congress focus on that day?
Okay, so they turned their attention to the important role that local communities play
Okay.
in shaping the national conversation.
Local communities in Congress.
Yes, there were numerous tributes and recognitions of individuals and organizations making a difference at the grassroots level.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, people working behind the scenes to improve their communities.
Those behind-the-scenes heroes
Exactly.
rarely get the recognition they deserve.
They do so much.
Yeah. So can you give me some examples?
Sure. Congressman Costa from California honored Kathy Manny for her dedicated service to the people of the Central Valley.
Okay.
She had a long and impactful career, first in journalism and then serving as his district director and deputy chief of staff.
Wow. Talk about a dedicated public servant.
Yeah, she really made a difference.
What other local heroes were acknowledged?
Congresswoman Van Dyne from Texas recognized Senior Officer Carlos Peralez and Senior Corporal William Norwood from the Useless Police Department
Okay.
for their service to their community and country.
A well-deserved tribute to those who serve and protect, often at great personal risk.
Absolutely. They put their lives on the line every day.
Yeah. And Congressman Smucker from Pennsylvania congratulated East Donegal Township Manager Jeffrey Butler
Okay.
on his retirement after over 4 decades of service to his community.
4 decades.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I know, incredible dedication.
Talk about commitment.
Yeah. And we can't forget Congressman Thompson from California, who recognized the In Response Mental Health Support Team in Santa Rosa
Okay.
for their innovative approach to crisis intervention and dedication to providing bilingual and bicultural support.
Wow. That's an incredibly valuable service.
Yeah.
Especially now with mental health needs on the rise.
Absolutely. It's so important to have those resources available.
Yeah.
So these are just a few examples
Uh-huh.
of the many individuals and organizations that were recognized in Congress that day
Yeah.
for their contributions to their communities.
It's inspiring, isn't it?
It is. It really highlights the fact that, building a better society happens at all levels,
Yeah.
from the halls of Congress to the streets of our neighborhoods.
We can all make a difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And amidst these tributes, there are also some insightful discussions about the role of government in supporting innovation and economic growth.
Oh, yeah. Innovation, always a hot topic.
Always. So what were some of the key points raised in these discussions?
Okay, so several lawmakers, including Representatives Williams from Texas and Velasquez from New York, spoke about the importance of investing in research and development,
Okay.
particularly in fields like clean energy and advanced manufacturing.
Right, the industries of the future.
Exactly. The key sectors for driving economic growth and creating jobs.
Absolutely. Did they mention any specific initiatives?
They highlighted the importance of small businesses in driving innovation,
Okay.
urging the government to do more to support entrepreneurs and startups.
Yeah, we need those risk takers.
Absolutely, the job creators.
And they also discussed legislation like a DOE and SBA Research Act, which aimed to facilitate collaboration between the Department of Energy and the Small Business Administration
Okay.
to support research and development by small businesses.
So fostering collaboration and breaking down silos between government agencies and the private sector.
Exactly, working together to achieve common goals.
I like.
Yeah, and they emphasized the need to invest in both physical and digital infrastructure
Mm-hmm.
to create a more competitive and innovative economy.
Yeah, we need a strong foundation.
Right. So it's interesting to see how lawmakers from both sides of the aisle approach these issues.
Yeah, finding common ground on innovation.
Yeah, and there was this real sense of urgency about the need to stay ahead of the curve
Yeah.
in this rapidly changing global landscape.
Absolutely. The world's not slowing down.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And amidst these discussions about the future, there were also moments of reflection on the sacrifices of the past.
Yeah, it seems like every day in Congress includes tributes to those who have served our country.
It does, and rightfully so. It's important to remember and honor their sacrifices.
Absolutely. We owe them a debt of gratitude.
Yeah, so who are they paying tribute to this time?
Congresswoman Kiggins from Virginia spoke about the tragic loss of two Virginia Beach police officers, Cameron Gervin and Christopher Reese, who were killed in the line of duty.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, she spoke about their bravery and their commitment to serving their community.
It's heartbreaking to be reminded of the risks that law enforcement officers face every day.
It is. They put their lives on the line to keep us safe.
And Congressman Carter from Georgia spoke about the loss of Staff Sergeant Ryan Austin O'Hara, who died in a helicopter accident in Washington, D.C.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he emphasized Sergeant O'Hara's service to his country and the impact of his loss on his family and community.
It's always tough to lose someone who served.
Yeah, these tributes are a somber reminder of the human cost of service and sacrifice.
Yeah, they remind us that freedom isn't free.
It's not. So it sounds like this day in Congress was really a microcosm of American life itself.
Yeah.
This blend of joy and sorrow, triumph and tragedy, and a constant striving for a better future.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah, and I think this exploration of the congressional record, reminds us that even amidst the partisan battles and procedural complexities, there's a lot of good work being done by dedicated individuals.
Yeah.
Who are committed to serving their constituents.
Yeah.
And making a positive impact.
That's what it's all about.
So where do we go from here on this journey through American democracy?
Well, we still have more to uncover from this particular day in Congress, so be sure to join us for the final installment of our deep dive, where we'll explore how these discussions and actions translate into policy and impact your life.
I'm already on the edge of my seat. See you next time for the exciting conclusion of Congress in Context. Welcome back to Congress in Context. We're wrapping up our deep dive into the Congressional Record from Monday, February 24th, 2025.
And we've saved some of the most impactful discussions for last. You know, those that really hit home for a lot of Americans' economic issues.
Yes, the never-ending conversation about taxes and spending and the role of government.
Always a hot topic, right?
Always a hot topic. So what were the hot-button issues on this particular day?
Well, one that sparked a lot of debate was the Republican budget proposal, which included some pretty significant cuts to social programs like Medicaid and SNAP.
Okay, and those are programs that millions of Americans rely on.
Absolutely essential for a lot of folks.
So I can only imagine there was some pushback on that.
Oh, yeah. Several Democratic lawmakers, including Representatives Courtney from Connecticut and Landsman from Ohio, voiced strong opposition to these proposed cuts.
Okay, and what were their arguments against it?
Well, they argued that these cuts would disproportionately impact low-income families and vulnerable populations.
Okay, so they're saying it's going to hit those who can least afford it the hardest.
Exactly, and Representative Landsman actually shared a really powerful story about a constituent named Debbie who worked at the Cincinnati VA helping to recruit doctors to treat veterans.
Okay.
But due to budget cuts, she lost her job, and her family's really struggling to make ends meet.
Wow. You know, that story really brings home the point that these policy decisions made in Washington have real-life consequences for people all across the country.
Absolutely. They're not just numbers on a spreadsheet.
Right. These are people's lives.
Yeah. And Representative Courtney highlighted the potential impact on healthcare access for children, seniors, and people with disabilities if Medicaid were to be cut.
Yeah, these are, incredibly important programs.
Yeah, safety net programs.
A safety net for so many Americans.
Absolutely. So it's a classic debate, right?
Yeah.
Fiscal responsibility versus maintaining a social safety net.
Like, where do you draw the line?
Exactly. And, these discussions often boil down to these fundamental questions about the role of government in society and how we prioritize spending.
Right. What's interesting is how these economic debates often reflect those deeper philosophical differences.
Oh, absolutely. They're about values.
Yeah. Okay, so what other economic issues were on the table that day?
Well, globalization was another big one.
Okay.
Representative Goodlander from New Hampshire spoke about the challenges that small businesses face in a globalized marketplace.
Oh, yeah. Globalization's been a hot-button issue for decades.
It has, and it continues to be. What specific concerns did she raise?
Yeah, what were her talking points?
Well, she talked about the pressure from foreign competition, the complexities of international trade regulations, and the need for the government to step up and provide more support for American businesses operating in a global economy.
So she's saying that, we need to find that balance
Exactly.
between promoting free trade,
Yeah,
but also ensuring that American businesses and workers aren't left behind.
right. It's a tough needle to thread.
It is a tough one.
Yeah,
Okay, so did Congress discuss any other, really pressing issues that day?
they did. Representative Larson from Connecticut brought up the increasingly important issue of data privacy,
Okay.
particularly in relation to the power of social media and online platforms.
Data privacy is a huge concern these days,
Mm.
with so much of our information being collected and used by big tech companies.
Oh, absolutely. It's a wild west out there.
It is. So what was Larson's take on the situation?
Well, he argued that the government needs to take a more active role in protecting people's privacy and ensuring that their data isn't being used without their knowledge or consent.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty, common sense position.
He does, right.
Yeah. Did he propose any specific solutions or legislation to address these concerns?
The Congressional Record doesn't go into a lot of detail about specific proposals from that day,
Okay.
but it's clear that data privacy was a growing concern for lawmakers, and rightfully so.
Yeah. And it's an issue that's only become more relevant and more pressing in the years since.
Oh, absolutely. It's top of mind for a lot of people these days.
Yeah, so it seems like they were kind of ahead of the curve on that one.
A little bit.
Okay, what other kind of forward-looking topics did Congress address?
Well, the role of education in preparing the workforce of the future was another big one.
Okay.
Representative Joyce from Pennsylvania spoke about the importance of career and technical education, often called CTE.
Yeah, CTE has become increasingly popular as an alternative to those traditional four-year college degrees.
It's a great option for a lot of students.
Yeah.
And Joyce argued that CTE programs can provide students with a more direct path to well-paying jobs in fields that are in high demand, like manufacturing, healthcare, and technology.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see lawmakers recognizing that there are multiple pathways to success.
Absolutely.
And that not everyone needs a traditional college degree to thrive in today's economy.
Right. Different strokes for different folks.
Exactly. And did he have any evidence to back up these claims about CTE?
Oh, yeah. He highlighted the high job placement rates of CTE programs in his district and shared some positive feedback from employers who were eager to hire graduates with these specialized skills.
So he's saying that these programs are actually working.
They are. They're producing results.
It sounds like he's a real champion for CTE.
He is. He sees the value in it.
So what other areas did Congress focus on?
Well, infrastructure was another important topic that came up, particularly with Senator Padilla from California advocating for investments in water infrastructure, especially in rural communities.
Water is essential for life, so that seems like a no-brainer.
It is, right.
Yeah, what was the context for this discussion?
Well, Padilla highlighted the challenges faced by many communities in California, especially those dealing with drought and aging water systems.
Oh yeah, California has been grappling with water issues for decades.
They have. It's an ongoing challenge.
Yeah, so it makes sense that this would be a priority for Senator Padilla.
Absolutely. And he emphasized the need for increased federal support for water infrastructure projects to address these critical needs.
Okay, so he's calling for more federal funding to help these communities.
Exactly. They need help.
Okay, what other essential services were discussed?
Representatives Davids from Kansas and Alford from Missouri spoke about the importance of improving mental health care for veterans.
Yeah, mental health is such a critical issue for veterans, many of whom return from service with PTSD and other challenges. Yeah.
It's invisible wounds, right?
Exactly, and they often don't get the attention they deserve.
They don't. And so Representatives Davids and Alford stressed the need for expanding access to mental health services and reducing the stigma associated with seeking help.
Which is so important.
Absolutely got to break down those barriers.
Right, making sure that veterans feel comfortable asking for help.
Exactly.
It's encouraging to see lawmakers shining a light on this important issue.
It is raising awareness is the first step.
What other areas of concern did Congress touch on?
Senator Schumer from New York talked about the critical role of diplomacy and international cooperation in addressing global challenges.
Okay.
He emphasized the need to work with allies to confront threats like terrorism, climate change, and nuclear proliferation.
Yeah, these are those complex issues that really require a global response.
Absolutely no one country can solve these problems alone.
So what was Senator Schumer's approach?
Well, he advocated for constructive dialogue and finding common ground with other nations, emphasizing that the U.S. can't solve these problems alone.
It's a call for, multilateralism and a recognition that we're all interconnected in today's world.
Exactly. We're all in this together.
Yeah, it's a powerful message that resonates even more strongly today, it seems.
It does.
So what else stood out from this day in Congress?
Well, Senator Cardin from Maryland offered some really thought-provoking reflections on the state of American democracy.
Okay, I'm always up for a little reflection, so what did he have to say?
Well, he emphasized the importance of civic engagement and urged all Americans to participate in the democratic process, not just during elections, but in all aspects of civic life.
Yeah, civic engagement is the foundation of a healthy democracy.
Absolutely. It's what makes it work.
Okay, so what were some of his, key takeaways for listeners?
Well, he stressed the importance of voting, staying informed about the issues, and engaging in respectful dialogue with people who hold different views.
That's such a crucial point, especially in today's world, where it's so easy to, just retreat into your own echo chamber.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We need to talk to each other even when we disagree.
Exactly. And he reminded us that democracy works best when all citizens are actively involved and contribute their voices to the conversation.
Right. Our voices matter.
They do. And, it's a powerful reminder, especially in today's world, where it's so easy to become, disillusioned or disengaged from the political process.
It's true. It can be overwhelming, but we can't give up.
We can't. We have to stay
Yeah.
involved. Okay. So was there anything else that caught your attention?
We can't overlook the individuals who work behind the scenes to keep the wheels of government turning.
Yeah, the unsung heroes.
Representative Norton from the District of Columbia took time to thank the staff of the House of Representatives, recognizing their hard work and dedication.
That's so important to acknowledge those folks who often go unnoticed, but play such a vital role in supporting our democracy.
Absolutely. They keep the lights on.
They do literally and figuratively so. As we wrap up this deep dive into the Congressional Record, what are some of the key takeaways you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Well, this exploration has really reminded us that our democracy is a complex, dynamic, and constantly evolving system.
Yeah.
It's a system that relies on the active participation of all citizens, the dedication of public servants, and a willingness to engage in thoughtful debate, finding common ground where we can.
It's been an incredible journey through the Congressional Record.
It has.
We've seen the human side of politics, the clash of ideas, the importance of representation, and the ongoing work of building a more perfect union.
Yeah, there's always work to be done.
Always. So what advice would you give to listeners who want to stay more informed and engage in the political process?
Well, I'd encourage everyone to explore the Congressional Record for themselves.
Yeah.
It's a treasure trove of information and offers a fascinating window into the inner workings of our democracy. You can find it online, and you might be surprised by what you discover.
That's a great suggestion. So to all our listeners, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Congressional Record. Until next time.